Race 3 is the women's intermediate quad scull, and we have a field of 4 in this one. Drummoyne in lane number 1, Rowena Stewart, Yasmin Finnegan, Estelle Fong, Julianne Huang. In lane 2, Leichhardt, Doreen Borg, Madeline Borrie, Helen Dunn and Carolyn Childs, and they're coached by Charles Lloyd-Jones. Chloe Hitchens, Giselle Duaza, Stella Lagan and Poppy Hartley are the glebe crew in lane 3. And Anne Pham, Nikki Reed, Susie Tay and Anthea Waldersee, the Balmain crew in lane number 4. That's the field, and glebe look to have moved out pretty well, and good battle going on between Drummoyne, who were just shading Leichhardt, and are in a good tussle with Balmain on this side of the course, but it looks to be glebe doing pretty well in this one. In fact, Balmain, they might have swapped stations out there, and of course this Balmain course, a unique one that continues to change over the years with mooring encroachment, and makes it quite a challenge for these crews. No coxswains in these quad sculls, so they'll have to keep an eye on their course and make their way around the outside of the mooring area. Yeah, so Balmain sort of angling out and sort of pointing right over towards the islands, and glebe are hugging the line of boats on this side of the course, so they look like they'll cover a fair few less metres, so it'll be a good race between these two boats. Leichhardt look as though they're headed up towards Tarban Creek on this sort of an angle, and they're in 4th spot and look destined to finish in that position. So it's a race between Balmain, glebe and Drummoyne as we get into the last few hundred metres, and Balmain's lead is being eroded by glebe. Only about half a length advantage to Balmain over glebe, and then a further length and a half back to Drummoyne, and then a further 3 lengths to Leichhardt, who have done a good little steering adjustment now and are heading in almost in a perfect line towards the finish. Glebe have just started to put their bow into the lead. So this young glebe combination, Chloe Hitchens, Giselle Duaza, Stella Lagan, Poppy Hartley, and now turn that half a length deficit into a half a length advantage. And in this centenary celebration of the JB Sharp series, it looks like glebe will take out the first crew boat race, and they're going to do it with clear water in the end, so a really strong back end of the race for Glebe Rowing Club. And they take out the women's intermediate quad scull ahead of Balmain in 2nd spot. Will be followed home by Drummoyne in 3rd and Leichhardt in 4th position.
tell you what, if there's a bit of do it with you.
And on the course now, race number 4, the women's under 16 single scull, or 3 scullers we have. Glebes, Adelaide, Abernathy in lane number 1, Lily McHugh of Leichhardt in lane 2, and Ingza Dive of Glebe in lane number 3. And there was a very good start from Adelaide Abernathy of Glebe Rowing Club, who led this one out, and Ingza Dive had a slower start, but has started to build through this second 250 metres, and in third spot we have Lily McHugh of Leichhardt Rowing Club. So Adelaide Abernathy, student at MLC school, and also rows at Glebe Rowing Club, as we see here today. Ingza Dive on this side of the course rows at Ascombe School. I think it was her first season last year, and it's great seeing all these 3 young scullers continue to improve, as Lily McHugh's novice season last year as well, and it's good to see a competitive field in this women's under 16 single scull. So that's Adelaide Abernathy. Of course, comes from a rowing family. Her father, Laird Abernathy, was a very, very good junior in his day and rowed at Sydney University and Sydney Boys High School. I think Hunters Hill High as well. So comes from a strong rowing family, Adelaide Abernathy. And these scullers doing a pretty admirable job here of steering on this course. Ingza Dive just now starting to move into the race lead for Glebe. Abernathy in second spot, and Lily McHugh of Leichhardt 3 lengths down in third position. And the marine rescue boat will make this finish pretty interesting. I think they're keeping a wash here that's sadly going to attract these scullers for probably the best part of the last 200 metres. So hopefully they can all navigate this safely, and the marine rescue boat doesn't create a role for themselves in this one. So the Glebe scull Abernathy has stopped at the moment, and that's so we've got Ingza Dive in the race lead, and Lily McHugh's now moved into second spot, and the umpire's just heading over to check on the Glebe sculler in third position. So heading up towards the line, Ingza Dive. The Glebe Rowing Club will take out the under 16 women's single scull. And Lily McHugh of Leichhardt will cross in second spot. So crossing in second, Lily McHugh, and the Glebe sculler Adelaide Abernathy will just being attended to by the umpire. And race number 5 is the men's intermediate and under 16 double scull. And we have in lane 1 St Augustine's Rory Parker, Hamish Wise, coached by Judith Ungermark. In lane 2, Glebe Mark Tejan and Sri Rajagopal. In lane 3 is Drummoyne, Gabriel Haythornthwaite and Branko Kovacic. And the under 16 crew that we have is the Leichhardt crew, Massimo Fitzsimon and Jeremy Cooper. So the other crew of Cooper and Spooge were a withdrawal. So it's the St Augustine's crew that leads this one, Rory Parker and Hamish Wise. And they've got about 2 boat lengths advantage. And that's over the Glebe crew of Tejan and Rajagopal, and then the youngsters from Leichhardt, Fitzsimon and Cooper, starting to push through on the inside as well. In 4th spot we have the veterans of the field, Branko Kovacic, who in his mid-70s, racing with Gabriel Haythornthwaite, who's a couple of decades younger, but they're giving the field a few years in age and putting in a good performance in 4th position. The St Augustine's crew, they've dropped the rate down and getting a lot of distance per stroke, and they're still managing to hold off the rest of the field. Glebe in 3rd position. They've been passed by the young Leichhardt crew with about 70 or 80 metres to go for the leading boat from St Augustine's. They've just started to lift the rating once more and have just started to extend that advantage over the 2nd place Leichhardt crew. So Rory Parker, Hamish Wise of St Augustine's first, and Massimo Fitzsimon, Jeremy Cooper of Leichhardt second, Tejan and Rajagopal of Glebe third, and Kovacic and Haythornthwaite of Drummoyne fourth. And race 6 is the Para Double Skull, and the field of 4 in this one, which is great to see. We have Glebe in lane number 1, and they started off 35 seconds. That's Kenneth Major and Parry Mataris, and they're coached by Ken in that boat. James Johnson, Christopher James are the community crew in lane 2. They're also off 35 seconds. Glebe in lane 3 off 30 seconds. Mika Kelly and Robert Fendel. And in lane number 4 off go, Community Rowing Club, Lauren Webber and Bronte Marshall. So hopefully the community crew will navigate the crews heading back for after their race. And it looks like they've managed to do that, very, very fortunately. Community with Lauren Webber and Bronte Marshall continuing to lead and doing their best to preserve a fair chunk of that 30-second handicap for this second half of the race. And still with a good 5 or 6 boat lengths advantage, so you're thinking they're very, very well placed here, and there's a good race going on for second, third and fourth. Communities crew of James Johnson and Christopher James, they're in second position ahead of the 2 Glebe crews, Fendel and Kelly, who have done a fair bit of time together in the double scull, and the new Glebe combination of Mutaris and Major. So as they start to make their way past the furthest out, a lot of moored boats, the community crew well clear. And a good race going on for second spot. It is Major and Mutaris that have just started to push up towards challenging James and Johnson of Community in the crimson coloured boat in that good race for second. I think these 2 crews' chances of catching Lauren Webber and Bronte Marshall are decreasing by the stroke. So as they head towards the finish line, about another 8 strokes to go for the community crew of Lauren Webber and Bronte Marshall, and they'll take out the Para Double Skull. And then Glebe in second spot, only about 2/3 of a boat length. That might be enough to see them home. So Ken Major, Parry Mataris second, and James Johnson, Christopher James in third spot, and in fourth will be Mika Kelly and Robert Fendel of Glebe. So a great race here in the Para Double Skull, won by Community Rowing Club. Had an eventful start to race 7, the women's novice quad scull and North Shore crew headed straight over towards Birkenhead Marina, and now they've started to head back towards their lane, and unfortunately the Glebe crew Kenny Major running straight back down the course. That's quite incredible actually for someone that's that experienced. So the Abbotsford crew are going to negotiate that, but they may well collect the buoy on their bow side. And they've managed to just get through that. So it's a good race going on between Abbotsford and Balmain, and North Shore are continuing their eventful steering. They've sort of headed back off the course, and so a good little challenge for some of these competitors who are very new to the sport. The Abbotsford crew, Mary Power, Victoria Dalton, Yu Chao Tang and Bron Gao. They're coached by Charles Lloyd Jones and Steve Sherry. The Balmain crew, Raylene Ravenhall, Sophie Kuznurchuk and Claire Porters, Kimberly Bassett. And these two crews fighting it out. North Shore in 3rd position. Yeah, so Abbotsford heading pretty much straight towards the Balmain crew's path. So hopefully these two don't clash and have a good fair race towards the finish. Balmain with a small advantage, and Abbotsford have just tagged them now. So hopefully these two can extricate themselves, and they're starting to get things moving. And so Balmain getting moving once again, and looks like they'll take the win in this one. So a very eventful women's novice quad scull. And Abbotsford been able to get things moving again, and looks like they're going to finish about a length in arrears. So Balmain first, Abbotsford second, and then North Shore in 3rd position.
And a very interesting race here for the first regatta of the men's novice single scull. We have two crews, both from Glebe, and both crews are WT, or William Turner and William Tarrant. So both the Glebe scullers here, quite a close race. A little bit difficult to see who it is that's taken the lead at the moment, but they're coming down quite nicely right in the middle of the course, avoiding some of the crews that are heading back up to the start line, which has become more of a challenge in the recent events. And it looks like it might be William Tarrant who's just got his nose ahead at the moment by a couple of lengths. Leading at the moment from William Turner in lane 1. Umpires just bringing them back over to the middle of the course now.
William Tarrant leading William Turner. These two already faced off once earlier today in the under-16 single scull, so good opportunity to have two races in the one boat class in the space of an hour or so, and see what sort of improvements you can make. So William Tarrant leading William Turner from Glebe Rowing Club. So the novice rules for the singles for the series, never having faced the starter in a rowing race as a sculler or rower. And so it's a great opportunity for these to race against people with also very limited experience. And Glebe Rowing Club's done a tremendous job, particularly in the last few years, in the JB Sharp series of developing young rowers. And they're going to get got a sailing fleet to deal with here. So William Tarrant leading William Turner, and just another 2 strokes to go for Tarrant to go, and he'll cross and claim the win. Race number 9, the Men's Open Coxed 4. And in lane 1 is UTS. It's Michael McRae, Mitch Blackmore Cram, Lawson Banks, Jack Henderson and Oliver Taylor coxing. In lane 2, Drummoyne Ben Faunce, Stephen Burke, Anthony Matthews, Andrew Patterson and coxed by Rowena Stewart. And UTS in lane 3, that's Rory Parker, William Pender, Lawson Banks also listed in there, and Hamish Wise, Ryder Taylor the coxswain and coached by Amos Noon and Judith Ungermark. So you can see UTS on screen. And racing your tenants, St Augustine's, who are over on this side of the course in the green colours, originally listed as a UTS crew, but racing as St Augustine's. You can see Peter Waldesy on, not quite Peter Waldesy, or Henderson in the stroke seat at least, who stroked the New South Wales Penrith Cup a couple of years ago to a 6th placing over in Western Australia. And that's the St Augustine's crew in lane number 3. Who are there in 2nd spot. And Drummoyne have dropped back to 3rd spot. That's the Drummoyne crew on screen, giving quite a few years of age to these younger boats. In some cases, somewhere in around about 50 years for some of them. And they're giving a good performance there in 3rd spot, but the young UTS crew over on the far side of the course have about a length and a half over St Augustine's. So it looks like McRae in the bow seat, Henderson in the stroke seat. And we had Lawson Banks and Mitch Blackmore Cram also listed in that boat. Difficult to discern who they are, but St Augustine's giving a push on this side of the course. And seeing if they can get to a bit of an overlap and put them under a bit of pressure as they get into the last stages of this. And they have now started to get a little bit of an overlap. And UTS claim the win, St Augustine's 2nd spot, and it will be Drummoyne who plays 3rd in the Men's Open Cox 4. course now, the Women's Open Quad Scull. It's race 10. And the field that we have Leichhardt in lane number 1, Lily McHugh, Olive Jack, Maya Isbister, Grace Connery, Glebe in lane 2. That's Katie Elias, Mika Kelly, Camille Morrison, Rachel McEwen. Leichhardt are in lane 3 with Nivi Masarek, Carolina Casilla, Kristan Foxton and Leslie Howard. And in lane number 5 is Glebe, Josie Lehman, Holly Stanbury, Zoe Leisha and Ingza Dive. So that's the field of 4, and they're all still in the hunt. But it's the 2 crews from Leichhardt that are doing pretty well, and Glebe in lane number 5, Lehman, Stanbury, Leisha and Dive that are also in the mix here, and we'll see what the steering's like. It sounded like the umpire was giving the flag out and advising a change of course for one of the crews. And let's Glebe in lane number 5. So good race going on between these 2 Leichhardt crews. Leichhardt 2 with a very slender advantage. It's only about half a canvas or so over Leichhardt number 1. And really going to be a good push to the line between these 2 crews. Glebe are in 3rd and 4th. So the Ingza Dive crew is in 3rd and the Rachel McEwen crew in 4th position. These 2 Leichhardt crews fighting it out. The juniors over in lane number 1 and their seniors or masters rowers in lane number 3, and there's very, very little separating these 2 crews as they push towards the line. So you have to think about just focusing on your job and not on the other crew, and trying to make the most of these last 20 or so strokes. So the youngsters may just have their bow in front. They're heading off on slightly different angles, and that may play into the hands of the senior crew on this side of the course. So a very, very good race, the senior crew. So Masarek, Kassir, Foxton and Howard are going to claim the win in the end. Half a boat length ahead of the youngsters in lane 1 from Leichhardt of McHugh, Jacks, Isbister and Connery. 3rd will go to Glebe, Lehman, Stanbury, Leisha and Dive. And then 4th to Glebe's crew of Elias, Kelly, Morrison and McEwen. We're underway in the women's handicap single scull. There's been 3 scullers that didn't greet the starter. Adelaide Abernathy of Glebe, Poppy Hartley of Glebe, and Giselle Duaza also of Glebe. So we are down to a field of 6, and we have the front marker Ming Yang of Glebe in lane number 6. Yvonne Konchek of Abbotsford off 5 seconds in lane number 5. Also with a 5 on her bow will be Stella Lagan of Glebe. Wendy Roncolato was off 10 seconds in lane number 4. And then we have the 2 back markers, Daniela Borg at 25 seconds, and off 35 seconds, Chloe Hitchens, the young talented sculler from Glebe Rowing Club. So it is Yvonne Konchek of Abbotsford that leads. And it looks as though the scull is just starting to make up some ground on them. You can see the Leichhardt sculler Borg pushing her way through, and Chloe Hitchens also right over on the far side of the course starting to pull in some of that 35 seconds she gave the leading scullers. So it's Yvonne Konchek with the race lead, and very close there with Chloe Hitchens has made up a lot of ground over on the far side of the course, and Daniela Borgert of Leichhardt also having made up a fair chunk of that 25 seconds. So the way the handicap point score works, you would accrue points through the regattas, and then whoever wins overall will take the series prize. So it's Hitchens just starting to draw on terms with Konchek of Abbotsford. He's doing a darndest to try and hold off Borgert of Leichhardt. And then the Glebe sculler Ming Yang right on this side of the course, who was the front markers in 4th position, with Wendy Roncolato only sitting about a length back in 5th position. At the head of the field, Chloe Hitchens that leads by just over a boat length from Daniela Borgert, and Yvonne Konchek of Abbotsford in 3rd position. So just 50 metres left to go, and the Glebe sculler with the rating right up, and she really attacked that and was able to make the catch and move on and take the race win. So Chloe Hitchens of Glebe takes the win. Daniela Borgert 2nd for Leichhardt, 3rd Yvonne Konchek of Abbotsford, 4th to Ming Yang, and then 5th to Wendy Roncolato of Drummoyne, and then we followed by Stella Lagan of Glebe in 6th position. are underway in the men's handicap single scull. It's race 12. There's been 4 withdrawals. Angus Dunstan of UTS, Rory Parker, St Augustine's, Oliver Taylor, UTS, and Arthur Chesterfield Evans, Drummoyne. So that leaves us with a field of 13, if my maths is somewhere near the mark. And so we have off 5 seconds James Walker of Glebe, of 15 seconds Sri Rajagopal of Glebe, Jasper Richards of Leichhardt of 20 seconds, of 30 seconds Michael McCormick of Balmain, Christopher James of Community, Luke Martin of Glebe, of 35 seconds Nicholas Brown of Drummoyne and Christopher Vlahos of Glebe, and then of 40 seconds is Dylan Lee of Leichhardt, 45 seconds Peter Waldersee of UTS, Charles Buzzacott, Leichhardt, and of 50 seconds the 2 back markers Zink Bosco of UTS and Pat Burke of UTS. So that's the field in this one, and it's starting to bunch right up.
By the way, I didn't come down here this morning to catch Regatta either. Good look at one, so I'll take the gas, alright? I would never. Well, I don't care. I'm quite happy. What I see in the mirror will do me. It ain't the best thing in the world, but I've been putting up with it for all these years. I'm not about to change now.
So a couple of Glebe scullers that are moved into the lead. Now getting challenged, Christopher James of Community is pushed right up there as well. And then we're seeing a good impression from the back markers too. They're going to have a bit of traffic to contend with, as there's about 6 or 7 scullers that are spread right across here. So it'll be difficult for Buzzacott and Waldersee and the like to start to push their way through. So one of the UTS scullers is right up there in the lead, pushing with Christopher James. And we have Michael McCormick of Balmain also there in about 3rd position, with a Glebe and a Leichhardt sculler adjacent to him. So Community's Christopher James battling it out with the UTS sculler. So James with the advantage. He's leading the UTS sculler with the lane number 3 on his bow, which I can't discern who that is, but right over on the far side of the course we have Dylan Lee of Leichhardt in about 3rd spot. So it'll be a win to Christopher James of Community Rowing Club, and then 2nd is UTS number 3, and then followed by Dylan Lee of Leichhardt. And
And coming down the course here are the Women's Open 8s. It's a 2-crew race here between Glebe and Balmain. Glebe Rowing Club currently with the advantage as they come into the last 200 to 300 metres of the race. It's fantastic to see these crews out and steaming down the course. The 8s races, the men's and women's 8s, go towards the Balmain Rowing Club's Bullock Horn Trophy, which will be awarded at the end of the season for the club with the highest point score combined men's and women's 8s racing. It's one of the more incredible awards and trophies of the JB Sharp series, which has an outstanding collection of perpetual trophies, and certainly something that you have to see to believe. Carved out of a very large bullock's horn and mounted in a plexiglass container on a trophy platform. It is awarded at the end of the season, which this year will be held at Leichhardt Rowing Club on the 14th of September. As we see Glebe coming up into the last couple of strokes now of this race, they'll be taking home the points on behalf of the Women's Open 8. Probably about 4 to 5 lengths ahead of the Balmain crew, who will still be coming through with second place points. This can definitely be a numbers game across the season, so even those crews that don't necessarily finish first are doing a fantastic thing by their club by collecting the points for the second or third place in the race and making sure that they are building towards the point score at the end of the season. As we see Balmain just coming into frame here now and crossing the line. Congratulations to both crews. Look, it is. I'm serious about what I was saying there. That's really good to see. as we see the end here of the women's novice single scull, the competition at the moment between Abbotsford and Glebe, we can see that there's only about 3 lengths or so that separate the crews, especially in the novice races. You do tend to see quite wide margins towards the end. And it looks like it's the Glebe sculler there who's just about to come over the line, wearing lane number 2. Just holding off Abbotsford's Yi Child Tang, who is about 4 boat lengths away. coming down the course now is the men's novice quad scull, and this is the only row over that we've had today where North Shore will be racing against the clock. They were the only entry in this event, but they are still moving down the course at a fair rate of knots here, and they are required to race the event as if they are racing against all other competitive crews in order to be able to claim the win, and they certainly seem to be doing so here. So we see them coming through into the last third of the race. They've got that rate up, moving quite nicely. They're tracking on a pretty good course down the line, and they'll be doing their club proud as they finish off this event, coming across the line and earning important points towards the JB Sharp Memorial Regatta Series overall point score in this, the centenary, sponsored by Viva Energy Australia. North Shore just picking up the rate there as they come towards the finish line. It's a great effort there by the crew, starting to shorten up a little bit. This is a very long course for the JB Sharp. The Balmain Regatta is the longest course for the series. As they come into the last 100 metres now. Clear water before the next competitor. By about the second or last race, I finally got the camera at the right angle, I can just flip it back. Yeah. Yeah, they just did a bloody PDF.
Oh, so I checked the entries.
So what's your rate limit? It's
And on the course now is race 16. It's the women's intermediate and under 16 double scull. And the field that we have, Leichhardt in lane number 1, Maya Isbister, Grace Connery, Glebe in lane 2, Giselle Dwayser and Stella Lagan. Olive Jacks, Lily McHugh are the Leichhardt crew in lane number 3. They're the 3 intermediate crews, and Glebe have 2 under 16 crews on this side of the course. Zoe Leisha and Ingza Dive, and Josie Lehman and Holly Stanbury. So that's the field of 5. They're all there. And at the moment, it is Glebe occupying positions 1 and 2. And Leichhardt in 3 and 4, and Glebe in 5th position. So as they get a little bit closer, we'll discern them, which are the combinations. So the 2 Glebe crews with no bow numbers, and so they'll be difficult to discern. So it's Glebe 4, Zoe Leisha, Ingza Dive leading, and they're leading from Dwayser and Lagan. And in 3rd position we have Isbister and Connery of Leichhardt. Jackson McHugh are in 4th position, and Lehman and Stanbury in 5th position. So hopefully at least 3 of these boats should miss this rather large wash that's headed their way. So Leisha and Dive of Glebe take out the race overall, and the leading under 16 crew. Dwayser and Lagan 2nd overall in the leading intermediate crew. Isbister and Connery 3rd, and they're followed by Jackson McHugh in 4th, and Lehman and Stanbury in 5th. So to ride this little washout, both these remaining crews. And Leichhardt are through. And Glebe have a fair bit of bouncing around to do before boat will resume its normal path, and they'll take 2 more strokes and they'll cross.
So is it Glebe, UTS? Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's Uni, UTS. That's Drummoyne. Okay. Yes, it is Drummoyne. Okay. And it's just an open 8? So, we've got UTS leading the pack at the moment. Looking like Drummoyne on the far side is coming in second. No, Drummoyne's coming in third. And then, who's on the other side? Glebe. And Glebe is coming in second. UTS is looking pretty comfortable. Glebe is rating a little bit higher. It looks like UTS is going to take this race, but we're going to keep the excitement going all the way to the end. Come on, Glebe. I mean, Owen Nix doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Right. So UTS is certainly well out in front. Will there be a race on for second place between Glebe and Drummoyne? Maybe. And UTS is going to comfortably come in first. And Glebe and Drummoyne both coming across the finishing line. Looking nice and relaxed, perhaps a little bit too relaxed. I don't think I'll be invited back again for commentating. Yeah, that's not.
And with the conclusion of the men's Open 8s there, with UTS in first place, Glebe in second, and Drummoyne coming through in third place, that concludes round one of the 2024 Centenary Series of the JB Sharp Memorial Regatta Series, sponsored by Viva Energy Australia. Thank you very much to all of the boat race officials, the umpires, the judge, the Regatta Secretary Owen Nix, the host club Balmain, their volunteers, their boat drivers, and everyone around for the wonderful racing today. We thank also to Mother Nature, the weather gods, and anyone else that you pray to for the wonderful weather that we've had for the series today. It's been a fine and sunny day, and the light tailwind towards the end there only made racing even more exciting for everyone. We'll see you all in 3 weeks for the second regatta of the series. It will be fantastic to see racing returning again to Iron Cove, and we look forward to seeing all the competitors back out there as some scores are settled and points are earned for round 2. All the best, and we'll see you on July the 28th.